September. Wow, that came quick. Of course, this is the Chicago Marketo Users Group. Typical house rules, please don't contact any members outside of today's meeting. This is a safe space for everybody to come and to learn without harassment or anything like that. So we do welcome and encourage all of your questions. We're very excited that Paul has actually booked some extra time to be able to go into all of that with us. So know that this is a safe and welcoming space for everyone. For anyone who is newer to the Marketo space, Purple Select is the Marketo Advocate Engagement Hub. The URL is here, marketo.influitive.com. This is a great place to take a little bit of a brain break from work and do something that's a little bit more on the fun side. Engage with some of your fellow Marketo users groups, check out some fun challenges, a few opportunities to learn some fun information in here, but you actually get to earn points that you can redeem for cool Marketo swag. So if you're looking to pick up a new tote bag, a hoodie for the winter, something like that, definitely your place to stop by and check out. Now, a few upcoming opportunities that are out there for MUG members, the Marketo Advocate community. You're already a MUG member if you're here, so that's kind of the first step. If you are considering some of the other advocacy programs, the Marketo Champions program will be opening applications in October. So that's coming up really quickly here. That's a part of the Advocate Nation program, Fearless 50. So there's a lot of different things to get engaged with, and some of those are going to be hitting the calendar very shortly here. Champions office hours, this is something that's been happening typically every other month. There was one yesterday, there will be another one coming up that we'll keep you guys posted on, but this is always a great opportunity to connect with and meet some of your fellow champions outside of Andy and I, who you typically see on the regular. But this is an open opportunity to ask questions that have come up on your instance, on Marketo strategy, different things that might be going on in your environment that you may not have an internal resource. Tap into these guys. Now, there's a lot of upcoming virtual meetings with everybody being virtual. It's kind of a great way to be able to connect into some of the other users groups. Everybody's got some fun things going on. There's some happy hours, some Q&As, but all of these are on the mugs.marketo.com page. There are also some industry-specific ones that we'll be meeting this month, higher ed, manufacturing. Those typically come up each month as well. So if you are in an industry that has a unique mug, it's a great way to connect with people who are going through the same types of circumstances that you might be as well. Now, I did want to bring up Adobe Summit. This was announced, I believe, a week ago, maybe 2 weeks ago. The 2021 Summit will be a virtual event. The dates right now are slated to be April 13th through the 15th. This will be a free event, so they have let us know that already. So something to mark your calendars for, and be ready to keep an eye out for additional information as that comes. We will, of course, share as soon as we hear anything, but there will be more information coming to the website as well. Now, with all of that, I would like to welcome Paul Wilson to join us today. I've actually known Paul for, gosh, what, 5-6 years now, I believe. Paul has been a longtime advocate in the Marketo community, a longtime Marketo user. He was the leader of the Denver Mug. Maybe, are you still? Not sure.
Not the Denver Mug, actually. My wife runs the Denver Mug now.
Yep, Ginger. And the Microsoft Dynamics users group, which is actually how I came to meet Paul. So Paul has been sharing his knowledge in the Marketo community for quite some time, first as a consultant, but now actually working in-house with Adobe. Paul actually led the Marketo to Marketo migration that occurred, I think that was, what, 2 years ago now, and is leading the Adobe migration onto Marketo that he's going to share a little bit about with us today. But I'm thrilled to welcome, and very honored to welcome Paul to speak with us. So thank you, Paul, for being here.
Oh, my pleasure. This is the awesome stuff. This is what I really enjoy.
Let me flip my share off so that you can take over.
Okay, and I got to figure it. Believe it or not, we don't use Zoom, so I got to just bear with me. You know, when it picks screen numbers, oh, there we go. There it shows.
Yeah, that's fun.
Okay, so, oh, allow Zoom to, come on, bear with me. Talk amongst yourselves. Hey, so when we were talking about the different mugs and mugs that are happening for different, because they're all virtual now, you can basically travel to other mugs, and it's like you get to leave town, even though, you know, you're not leaving town. What would be really helpful for me, if we can, is just a quick rundown of who's here and what company you work with, what your instance is like, how long you've been using Marketo. That would give me kind of an orientation on who's in the room. So, Brooke, if you could help.
Yeah,
Through
we'll
that.
start working down the list alphabetically here. Jonathan Piper, hi.
Hey there, I guess I'm last one in, first one up. All right, my name is Jonathan Piper. I'm the Director of Marketing Operations at Velocity HS. We're a software company. And so I've been using Marketo for about 8 or 9 years maybe. And so I didn't do the math on that one. And we run an instance that actually crosses countries. We have offices in Australia, Canada, and so we're using multiple locations and multiple business units all out of a single instance. So we're fairly customized and fairly complicated all on our own.
Nice. Thanks.
Awesome. Amy.
All right. I'm Amy Goldfine. I'm the Marketing Operations Manager at Iterable in San Francisco. I'm also a mug leader. I run the San Francisco mug. I'm also a Marketo champion along with Brooke and Andy. I've been using Marketo since about 2016, and I just support a decentralized team of about 25 marketers. I'm very excited to be here. I've seen a version of this presentation before, but I always like to see it, so very excited.
Well, you can keep me on track then. If I veer off too far from the talk track, you can send me back.
You're gonna do great, Paul.
Awesome. Becca.
Hi, everyone. Sorry I can't do video. My computer can't handle both audio and video at the same time, so I apologize for that. Becca, I am based out of Fort Wayne, Indiana. Work for Zimmer Biomed. It's a medical device company. Newish to Marketo, I think, with this group probably. We implemented it, I think, 2.5 years ago now, so that was my first kind of jump into Marketo. We're a global company, but as of only about a week or so ago, we've only focused in the US due to privacy laws and regulations. So we're in the midst of rolling that out. I say we loosely because it's mostly me. But since we do target both healthcare professionals and consumers, we use a lot with workspaces and partitions, and just due to the heavily regulated industry. So yeah, excited to hear today.
Awesome. Carlisha.
Hello, everybody. So I'm Carlisha, and I work at a company called Misumi. I've been in Marketo for 3, 4, I don't even know, years. I'm the product marketing engineer, but I also help a lot with some of the campaigns we run in Marketo. I used to work with Brooke.
I was just going to say, you've been in there over 4 years because you covered my maternity leave.
Yes. We have our marketing automation manager here too, Shamia, and she's like later in the alphabet, so I'll let her talk more about our instance. But yeah, hi everybody.
Hey, thanks.
And David, hello.
Hi, David Lyons here. I'm with GE Healthcare. I've been more active in the Milwaukee user group, but we're in Chicago now for for sure. So I'm going to be showing up here in the Chicago user group quite frequently. I'm the marketing automation leader for US and Canada, and the admin for our US and Canada instance, and I've been working on Marketo since we deployed 6 years ago.
Awesome.
Wonderful. Welcome. Donna, hello. Do we have Donna?
Hi, everybody. I'm so
There we go.
sorry. My name's Donna Blessing. I'm from Leadus. Leadus is, we specialize in digital strategy, marketing automation. I've been on the team for the last, I guess it's going on 6 months now, and on the sales side, and just love these sessions and just get so much information, and I really appreciate being part of them.
Great. Thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Hi, Tom.
Hello. Yeah, my name is Tom. I work for Closer Look, which is a marketing company for pharmaceuticals. We've been using Marketo now for about 4 years, I think. And yeah, just wanted to check in today, see what the new UI was about, and see how everyone was doing. I think we were at the last ChiMUG event before everything locked down.
Yeah.
Have that dubious distinction. Maybe we ruined it. I don't know.
So that would be the BC ChiMUG.
Mhm.
Before
Yeah.
Before COVID.
Exactly.
Yep.
I got my sweatshirt.
Awesome. Well, good to see you again. Hi, Misha. Do we have Misha? All right, we can come back. Hi, Newt. How are you?
Hello. Hi, everyone. Thanks for having me. I'm actually a visitor from out of town. I'm in the Raleigh-Durham area, and I work for GitLab. The Marketo instance predates me by a while. I've only been heavily in Marketo for the last year, so I'm just trying to learn more about it. I'm a former Eloqua certified admin person, so trying to figure out, what Marketo can do for us, and my brain is still in Eloqua land, so that's been an interesting challenge for me. So if anyone has any Eloqua experience, hit me up if you're like, oh yeah, you gotta do this, and Marketo it's so much better.
Paul
Thanks.
does.
Oh, hey.
tips and tricks on the path, right?
Yeah.
Awesome. Renee, I'll pop back to you in just a minute here, but let's go down to Fearless 50 member Shmaya.
Hi, everyone. My name is Shamia Abraham, and I have the great honor of working with Carlisha. I am the marketing automation manager at Masumi. I've been with them for almost 2 years now. I've been using Marketo for about 7 years, and our instance is mainly used to target audiences here in the US, Canada, and a little bit of Mexico. And it is also connected to Microsoft Dynamics, which is why I'm really excited to join today's call with Paul, because I'm also a member of the MSD user group. So I'm really excited to be here.
Yes. Awesome.
Wonderful. And then to bring us over to your users group leaders, I'm sure all of you by now know me. I'm Brooke, co-lead the Marketo users group here with Andy and Renee. Been leading the group for, I don't know, two and a half years now, maybe something like that. It's been a minute, but very excited to have you all here. And I would like to introduce Andy.
Throw my camera back on. Hey y'all, Andy Crone. I've been a Chicago user group leader since 2017. Been in Marketo since 2012. Currently at Revenue Pulse as a Marketo consultant. Member of the inaugural Fearless 50 class, and a current champ. So always good to see y'all.
And we share the leader title with Renee.
Yes.
Yes, new to the leadership group for sure. So just trying to figure things out in that realm. But my name is Renee. I'm with a company called Adage Technologies now. It's my second instance of Marketo. This time it's Marketo and Dynamics implementation that I did. So it's been about 7 years since I've worked in Marketo, but always with small marketing teams and as a part of a marketing director role. So I don't just only work in Marketo, but everyone is always surprised that Marketo is, and I don't know why, but it tracks everything, it reports everything, it does everything, it does all the things, and so I super enjoy using Marketo, and am an advocate for it in my organization as well. So.
Wonderful. Well, thanks everyone. All right, Paul, I think it's your turn.
Awesome. Yeah, appreciate that. Really helps me to kind of get a lay of the land and understand, you know, the various backgrounds, and it'll also be helpful when we get to Q&A for me to understand a little bit more about everyone's experience in the past that you've been on. So it seems like we've got a really good mix, a lot of good depth of experience and time, and also some good fresh experiences working with Marketo. So I want to make sure you guys are seeing my screen. I think I'm sharing. Yes? No? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, we gotcha.
Okay, so really short background about me. My path to working in Marketo started actually from being in sales. I won't say how long ago, but it was a long time ago. In most conversations like this, I end up feeling like if I started talking about the beginning of my career, most of people would be talking about their elementary school days. So I won't do that because I don't want to feel too old today. But I started actually in sales, and that led me to run sales operations and inside sales organizations in the late 90s and into the start of 2000. And at that point in time, the notion of sales operations was really a new concept. And in 2001, I had an opportunity to play with a new platform that was going to revolutionize how sales worked. And that platform was Salesforce.com. So that was really my first foray into where CRM can impact business and how it can actually support, at that time, really just sales and sales operations. And then very quickly, we started looking at the way that technology impacts marketing and sales. And my first foray into dealing with marketing technology would be with early platforms like Eloqua, HubSpot, VTrends, Silverpop, some of the really early platforms. And I developed a discipline and a specialization around how to leverage these two platforms as a single experience. And really it was about 2009, 2010 when I first encountered the Marketo instances that were my first. And I really believed at that time, and I still believe today, that Marketo was the first platform that really could envision an end-to-end cycle, not only just in sales and marketing, but in customer life cycle. So very early in my career working with Marketo, I began helping companies leverage Marketo for things beyond sales and marketing. So leveraging it for customer engagement, customer support engagement, being able to craft things like a customer support score and a knowledge score to be able to say, well, how much information in a knowledge base area does it look like this individual is consumed? Because if you bring this individual to a more advanced support resource, they'll be able to get their solution faster. They'll be able to resolve quicker. Because you don't want to take someone who's got a lot of understanding and a lot of knowledge about the product and send them to the support desk that is, have you tried unplugging it and plugging it back in again, when you can see that this is an individual who's got advanced experience. So that was really when I started to envision where Marketo can play well beyond just sales and marketing. That led me to working as a solution architect in CRM and marketing automation with various platforms, but then really focusing in on Marketo as the platform of choice for me, and specializing in implementations of Dynamics with Marketo. So really that led me to joining Marketo in 2017, and then joined through the Partners Organization, then migrated into actually marketing technology operations for Marketo, because Marketo was embarking on the move from its original instance to a net new instance. And I was brought in to help bring that project back on track. There was a absolute must-happen deadline of September 10th, 2018. No one really understood at the time why this date was so important. So we moved heavens to get Salesforce migrated to Salesforce Lightning and a new instance of Marketo. We managed to hit the date. It was a bit of a nightmare for many reasons, but we did hit the date. And magically, 3 or 4 weeks later, there was this acquisition that was announced. So really, there was a lot moving under the covers. Through that experience, I was brought into Adobe to work on the migration, the large-scale migration now, of moving to an instance of Marketo for all of Adobe. So that's going to get me into a slide that I've got here. So that's my background, and that's how I ended up chatting with you today. As I said, or as Brooke mentioned, I used to run the Denver MUG, but they kind of frown on Marketo employees running MUGs. So my wife works for a Platinum agency. She's Marketo certified solution architect as well. So it was just a natural transition to say, hey, honey, I can't do this anymore. So she inherited that wonderful opportunity. But these conversations to me, these MUG opportunities are really where the rubber meets the road. I think it's most important to understand the way technology actually fits, to understand where technology actually has trouble. And I like to hear from people and contribute where I can to figure out solutions. And so it's kind of in that vein that I want to share with you what we're doing at Adobe with an eye to, for any outside input, because believe me, there are challenges. And we'll talk through some of the larger scale issues. But I also want to give you my perspective from my experience on where I see marketing technology fitting into the evolution of sales and marketing alignment, where we play as marketing technology engineers and how we can help support business operations. And I want to kind of get your input, and if you have questions as we go, please throw them in. So little story about where we're at. If you think of Marketo, if you think of Adobe as a customer, it is a very large enterprise customer in the scope and scale of tech companies. It's a almost 37-year-old technology company, which is a very rare breed in any country. It's a almost $12 billion entity. There are, I think now we're pretty much over the 23,000 employee mark. It's a company that's grown through acquisitions. So if anyone's been through an acquisition and been through the technology impact of an acquisition, you understand that there's a lot of mess inherent in the migration of systems, data, and processes from one entity to another. Well, Adobe has done 50 plus acquisitions in the last 30 years. So that's a messy history. It's a complex organization to deal with. And most recently, the Magento and Marketo acquisitions being the largest scale acquisitions that Adobe has done ever. The impact from a business process, technology, and operations perspective has been significant. So that's, if you think of Adobe as a customer, that's what we look like as a customer. So we've named this new instance of Marketo, the Marketo Customer Zero instance for Adobe. And it is to become the B2B Marketo instance for all of the business. If you think, again, from the outside, looking at Adobe, the B2B parts of the business range in scale from the very large, the Adobe Experience Manager, Adobe Analytics. These are extremely significant, long-term, multi-million-dollar investments for our customers, down to, still in the B2B space, the creative product suites, where organizations buy tens or hundreds of licenses of Creative Cloud products and implement them across their entire organization. So if you think of our large customers like Facebook, like any of the major retail brands you think of, through to Tesla and companies like that, the B2B relationship that Adobe has is fairly diverse. So it's multiple product lines into multiple departments across multiple entities when we deal with our customers. So what we're looking to do in implementing Marketo for Adobe is implement it as best as we should be showing the market it can be implemented. So it is to be a shining example or a showcase of the way this technology can be leveraged into a large enterprise customer like ourselves. So this transformation isn't just about adopting technology and being a showcase. It's the transformation of everything Adobe likes to do and has done in the past onto new technology that they have never encountered before. So it's a lot of work within our team to get through the transitions to, develop these changes and implement them successfully. So the way I look at it is the transformations that we're looking to do are kind of analogous to the creative experience. So if you think about the transformation that we're working through, the transformation happens at the systems level. From a technology perspective and from a marketing technology perspective, we're fundamentally putting Marketo into the middle of this already complex ecosystem of data, ecosystem of technology, and ecosystem of people. And so that digital transformation from a systems perspective is a significant change, and it's a significant step forward for Adobe. You can implement that technology, but once you've implemented it, it's also new technology from an operations perspective. So there's experiences that need to be changed or skill sets that need to be adapted or found that don't exist currently in the teams at Adobe who are doing marketing technology. So this level of transformation from an operations perspective is also very significant. And then fundamentally, the marketers who are doing marketing at Adobe have new technology to play with, and they can adapt and change not only what they're saying to the marketplace and how they're engaging with customers, but they also need to adapt the way that they do marketing. So up until March of this year, if you were a marketer at Adobe and you wanted to send an email out, it took you about 6 weeks from the end-to-end cycle of beginning with the brief, requesting the creative, going through all of the minutia, getting the audience defined, having all of that work done. And we've been able to take what used to be a 6-week process and compress it down to a week. And that kind of transformation is important, but it doesn't come without the difficulty of making that change and supporting that change from an operations perspective. So the most important thing to me, though, is the why. And the why is fundamentally that engaging experiences and being authentic is what everybody has as their goal. Sellers don't wake up in the morning. I'm going to say this and everyone's going to disagree with me because I disagree with myself, but sellers don't wake up in the morning thinking they want to annoy everybody. They don't think about getting up in the morning and turning on an outreach play that is absolutely hollow and absolutely meaningless and offering me services that have absolutely nothing to do with who I am. But they do that, and they do that with bad data, or they do that with bad technology. Marketers in a company like Adobe don't plan to send too much email to a prospect, but they might not know what's happening in the other part of the business, or they might not know what's happening from a different instance if there's too many instances of platform sending communications. So to me, the goal as a marketing technology engineer is to make technology disappear and make authenticity possible for marketers and sellers so that they can leverage technology, they can leverage where these platforms play, but you don't see it. It's not in your purview. You, as a recipient of this messaging, just think about how good the experience is. I'm sure you can all think of brands that you interact with that you think do this very well. I've seen transformations in the last 6 years when I think of platforms like Netflix, to the point now where Netflix's AI engine is working so hard in the background that when you get an email or when you get a suggestion from them, it's actually not bad. They're doing so much work to try to connect and understand what's happening that you no longer really think of the fact that you're logging in to basically a web application that is a vast library of single files. Really fundamentally, Netflix is just a directory, but the UI and the experience that they've layered on top of it means you don't think about it that way. You don't think of it as a directory of video content. You think of it as Netflix. I mean, it's become a verb. So that's where I think we should all be imagining our path. Our goal is to try to make technology disappear and make the experience be make supporting the experience be what we give to marketers. We empower them with that capability. So I should pause and breathe. Anyone have questions? Anyone want to challenge any of that before I keep going? All right, cool. So what are we doing at Adobe? So from a massive big move perspective, there's a lot happening. And on a daily basis, I'm reminded of how complex any migration project is. At a really high level, this is what we're working on. The inventory of infrastructure for Adobe includes a corporate infrastructure, which is sort of the core Salesforce implementation, which in Adobe's history actually goes all the way back to the Omniture acquisition. So the corporate instance of Salesforce for Adobe, in all of my years of experience working in Salesforce implementations, and I've been in hundreds of them through the years, I have never seen anything as breathtakingly messy as our own instance of Salesforce. We have maxed out the custom field availability. So every object has a maximum number of available custom fields. I think it's 700 for our level. We've maxed out that availability of custom fields on leads, accounts, contacts, opportunity, cases, and campaigns. And so because we don't get any more custom fields, Adobe has started tacking on custom objects in Salesforce in addition to all of the implementations that they've done that leverage custom objects. So our Salesforce implementation has 1,800 custom objects. It's a mind-bogglingly complex implementation. So that's the corporate stack. But through acquisitions, what we have are the inventories you sort of see on the left. So there's that corporate instance of Salesforce, and until a year ago, just Adobe Campaign. So we've implemented Marketo now and connected it to the corporate instance of Salesforce. And I'll talk a little bit more about that shortly. Then there's the Sign acquisition. Adobe bought EchoSign, I think about 7 years ago. Well, that Salesforce instance and that Marketo instance is still around. Then there was the Magento acquisition and the Marketo acquisition. So there are 4 instances of Marketo and Salesforce at Adobe today in the B2B space. The target is initially Salesforce for enterprise. So the existing Salesforce instance supports the enterprise part of the business. And the Magento and Marketo implementations of Salesforce are going to Microsoft Dynamics first. And those 2 CRMs will speak to the Marketo Customer Zero instance that my team manages. So there'll be 2 CRMs with 1 Marketo. Once the migration is done for the commercial part of the business, which is Magento and Marketo, then the enterprise Salesforce instance is migrating to Dynamics. So ultimately, in probably 2.5 to 3.5 years, Salesforce will go away at Adobe, and we'll have an instance of Microsoft Dynamics with Marketo. Adobe Campaign will still persist because Adobe Campaign is very well defined and plays well for B2C. Because the ecosystem of records that we play with, total record set for B2B and B2C at Adobe is about 1.2 billion records. In the enterprise space, the Marketo implementation, we're going to be handling roughly somewhere between 40 and 55 million records. And so that's the scope and scale of what the implementation looks like. So these are the big moves. What it translates to, and this is intended to be painful to look at, but what it translates to is what you see here. Again, Adobe is this 37-year-old company that has a lot of different systems. If we think of something as simple as marketing permissions, 1.2 billion permission records in our data set to understand if someone is opted in, opted out, if they will accept phone or not accept phone communications, all those kinds of data sets. Those 1.2 billion records aren't going to sit in Salesforce or in Marketo, they sit in a whole different repository. So we have a marketing permissions system. We then also have repositories and data lakes for all of the telemetry that comes from marketing activities and sales activities. So there's a lot of discrete pieces to the entire ecosystem that we're sitting in. And so that's what you kind of see here, and that's what's represented. And we're going from an implementation where a lot of what Marketo does was disseminated into other parts of this map. So contact fatigue, permissions, activity tracking, all of the things that can exist within Marketo as a hub happened in other places. So bringing Marketo into the middle and implementing it as a hub and the orchestration layer for engagement means changing and adapting everything around it. So it's a complex ecosystem that we're working through. So when I talk about the systems transformation, the systems part of the digital transformation, this is kind of that scope and scale. You change that much stuff in an ecosystem that's that complicated, and that drives change within the organization. So it drives change within what my team is. In fact, my team didn't exist until about a year ago, and it's still in development. So as we're adapting and changing marketing technology operations at Adobe, Adobe is learning, and it's taking some time, as I'm sure everybody on this call can understand. Spending dollars and getting resources for marketing operations is challenging. And even for an organization like Adobe that plays in this space and tries to demonstrate its best use of its own technology, it's challenging. So what we're doing is we're trying to clearly define what it is that we do. So fundamentally, we support marketers and sellers through technology. I mean, really fundamentally at its lowest level, that's what we do. But it's all of the complexity on the prior slides, all that systems complexity that we need to flatten, that we need to make invisible to marketers so that they can make it invisible to our prospects and customers. So all of the core services that my team does are represented here. And it's all of the elements related to that marketing technology operations, all of the core services. So fundamentally at the center is we're the first level support for marketers. Marketers don't call Marketo support, they call us. So we're the team that supports the platform. The platform are all of those bits and pieces that you saw in that system slide. Everything else here, technology procurement, managing ideas and innovation, the training and enablement, platform ops, this is what everybody, I'm sure, on this call to an extent does within their organizations. And we do it for B2B marketers at Adobe. So this is the way that we orchestrate and organize our core services. And as I said, this is a fundamental new thing at Adobe. Collecting all of these together, defining it as a service layer within marketing is a new concept. So we're working to help Adobe adapt. Fundamentally, this is critically important. This really matters because you can't expect distributed teams in the hundreds and hundreds of marketers across Adobe to individually develop the skill sets required to keep the lights on. Fundamentally, you need to orchestrate. You need to have an organization that coordinates the marketing technology stack, that analyzes and selects products that best fit all of the requirements. You need an organization that says no to marketers and says no to sellers when they start trying to build things that might be dumb, that might cause technical debt, that will cause problems down the road. And if you don't organize around these principles, you end up in circumstances that, for the folks on this call who do consulting work and make their money for consulting work, plug your ears. But if you don't do this good work up front, you're going to end up spending money down the line with consulting agencies who come in and get you back on track and clean up what has happened so that you can be more effective and deliver what's really needed. But if you come into an instance and all you hear is, well, the data sucks, the data, I can't use whatever data point it is that I feel I need to use, that's an example of the fundamental architecture not being, the data architecture not being effective. Or if you come into an instance and you hear, well, you know, it doesn't really do what we need. We needed to do landing pages, but we couldn't use them, or whatever it is, then it's a technology problem. These problems, be it the data architecture or the technology, they'll snowball over time if you don't control and really look after the technology that sits at the core and support marketers in using it. So that's systems and technology operations. And then what does this do to marketing, and how does this transform marketers? So marketers' vision of what Marketo will do for Adobe has to do with transforming the experiences. So transforming what it means to do demand generation, transforming the way retention happens, the way customers are kept, and transforming the way that the sales organization and the marketing organization work together. As I said, marketing at Adobe has basically been done in Jira until recently. And you know, marketers would open Jira tickets, and the Jira tickets with the studio team and with the team that ran Adobe Campaign for them. Like, all of these things made it really difficult for marketers to do marketing. They weren't able to be agile. They weren't able to focus on their core business. And by implementing Marketo and doing it at scale in the way that we're attempting to do it, the vision is that we're going to let marketers get back to being marketers and do transformative marketing and build different experiences for customers. I'm not going to read all of this, but the key benefits that are important to me in what we see here is improving customer experience. And then the second to last point on the left, the reference to DDOM, is a data-driven operating model. And one of the things that I fundamentally didn't expect coming into Adobe is being in an organization that has literally trillions of data points on all of the different systems that they run for all of the multiple hundreds of millions of individuals that they keep track of, that they can actually synthesize and make that data actionable. So that notion of a data-driven operating model is fundamentally a core tenet of the way Adobe does business. And right now, a lot of the data is not accessible to marketers. They know the data is there and they can see it in Power BI, and they know that it's important, but it takes weeks for them to do the research, to take the data from where it is available to them, to synthesize it, to come up with an Excel spreadsheet that they then give the campaign team to then import to send an email. It's not data that they can adapt and leverage. Bringing Marketo into this picture is allowing us to give live data, in essence. I shouldn't say live, because some of it's a little like up to a week late, just because it's hard to move that much data around. But it's data that's available to them in real time as they're defining and building audiences. So fundamentally, we're changing the way marketers get to do marketing. So given that we're 12 minutes left, and I do want to show some of the changes that are coming to product, I'm going to skip a little bit of the narrative of where we're going and what happens next. But I want to pause quickly before pivoting to taking a look at the new UI for any questions or thoughts and feedback on what I've covered so far. Like I said, to me, this is kind of the fun stuff, is getting other people's perspective and thoughts. You experience marketing from Adobe, I'm sure, multiple times a day. So I'm interested in getting some feedback from you on, you know, what you think about what I've covered and what your experience of it has been.
I have a question.
Yeah.
About like, I know you guys work on like a decentralized model where your marketers are in the MarTech systems, which is something I support as well at Iterable. You mentioned that you need to say no to people when they try to do things that aren't a good idea because they'll cause problems, which 100% there with you. But if everything's decentralized, how do you get visibility into those things? I sometimes realize somebody's done something and I'm like, that was not the right way to do it, but it is too late and the train is moving. So how do you get that visibility?
Very good question. It may be something that we have the luxury of doing just by the culture at Adobe, but at the moment, no one can actually send anything without my team approving it.
Okay.
So fundamentally, we are the last line of defense, and that will persist. The first real marketers using Marketo at Adobe in this new instance started right before COVID, so at the beginning of March. We trained them late last year. In January, they started coming in. They sent the occasional little email, but really from a regular use perspective, it was beginning of March. So nothing can happen without my team approving it. We have a permissions model that says marketing users can build anything they want, period. They can't send anything. They can't delete anything, but they can build as much as they want.
Okay.
Then there are power users, and power users have the ability to delete assets. They have the ability to do some more permissions. And then there are workspace administrators. The workspace administrators can build fields, can do some of those back-end things. My team is the approver layer above everything. Eventually, we're going to move that approval permission to the power users up to sends of 100,000 recipients. Because in our ecosystem, that's just the safest threshold. But I would suggest that if you know where those squeaky wheels are, if you suspect you know where these things are going to happen, you need to do spot auditing. You need to just pop in every once in a while and go, okay, we're decentralized to a point, and we're decentralized to the point where you start doing things I told you not to do and you're doing it. We're no longer decentralized for you. You're now on a short leash. You need governance, you need policies, and you need to kind of curtail people going rogue. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Any other questions? Okay. So what's coming? No, we're not buying Zoom. That's not what's coming. All right, let's go. So, new UI. Has anyone on this call had their instance migrated yet to the new unified user experience? Okay, I'm going to go with a no for that. This is the new unified user experience. Adobe is moving Marketo into a common look and feel that relates to other Adobe products. And that bar that you see across the top is reflected, it reflects that look and feel for other Adobe products. Behind this, right underneath it, is the UI that you all know and love in the main tile. So the main panel is what internally is called MLM, which is the original core product. That remains in this center view. But you'll see the tree on the left is different. It's new. And with this new capability or new tree comes new capabilities that have not been available. You know, you've many times, I'm sure, gone to build something and you've created it. And lo and behold, it appears and you have to drag it to where it belongs. Well, now you contextually create whatever you're creating where you create it. So you no longer need to drag within the tree to move things around to where you want them ultimately to be. That's a important and good thing because you can't drag anything within this tree. And you can't drag from the tree into the center panel. So it'll take a little bit of adaptation for marketers to understand that where you used to just grab an email, drag it and drop it into a stream, because in essence, the original interface is now an iframe, or the tree is an iframe. I don't know which is which, but you can't cross this threshold. So you'll need to go to the intended approach where you go point to the email, add it to the stream this way. And there will be additional capabilities and functions that were on the roadmap for Marketo Sky that will now be able to be brought in here into this unified user experience. But what's most important, and what I wanted to communicate here today, is as administrators and people who support potentially other users of Marketo, you need to know that this change is coming, that the experience for your users is going to change. When it changes, it isn't optional, and it's not something that you can go back from. So once it's done, it's done. And you'll need to be able to support, if you've got documentation, you'll probably need to update documentation. So it's important to understand that this change is coming, and that you're prepared for it. So I will pause here again for questions, because I'm sure there will be some, and I can answer or do my best to answer any questions you've got.